Hi guys, WhiteElo here. So after a long weekend full of chess of my own, which I'd rather not talk about, I finally found some time to analyze the second game of the World Championship match between Magnus Carlsen and Fabiano Caruana. So let's take a look at how this game went and what happened there. So Magnus decided to open with the d pawn and he played 1d4. I guess he probably... Okay, he has some opinion, he didn't want to face Petrov immediately, or he had some ideas in store. And Caruana played knight f6, knight f3, d5, c4, going for the classical Queen's Gambit, declined. Those who remember, who have good memory might remember Magnus played the Trompovsky against Karyakin in his first white game in 2016, but here he sticks to the classical chess. And Caruana plays e6, knight c3, bishop e7, and here Magnus plays the move bishop f4, which is the Harrwitz Attack of the Queen's Gambit declined. It is perhaps slightly less popular than the main line bishop g5, although both lines have the right to exist and are played many times. Carlsen himself played this line in the past, and other great players such as Viktor Korchnoi and Kasparov also played it. It is interesting to mention that the only defeat Carlsen suffered from Vishwanathan Anand in the World Championship matches also happened in this line. So, castle e3, this is the main line. The point here, so the one question that you might ask is why doesn't white push c5 here? Well, then in that case, black can immediately counter with b6, and now white can't push c6 because black can simply take. In the line with the knight on d7, then c6 is an option, but here c5 is too premature. And here white played e3, and now Caruana stroke with c5, which is perhaps not the main line today. Today more common is knight b d7, and here after c5 black can't immediately challenge the pawn with b6 because after c6, knight b8, queen a4, he is somewhat stuck. So yeah, okay, but c5 is okay, after knight b d7, c5 there are some other moves, there's a lot of theory, and c6 is in particular the main line here, but okay. Caruana decided to go for somewhat older main line, but also very logical move, striking the center immediately. So d takes c5, bishop takes c5, and now queen c2. So in this variation, it is all about the battle for the tempo, because white doesn't want to develop his bishop before black takes on c4, because he hopes to save a tempo and to take on c4 in one move, which is a common theme in many Queen's Gambit positions. So queen c2 is a useful move, preparing perhaps the rook d1, long castling or something like that, and in general just waiting, developing a queen and waiting to see whether black will take on c4. Of course, black doesn't do that, he plays knight c6, a3, preventing knight b4. It is the usual move and still waits with the development of the bishop. Actually, white can't really do without a3. Let's say he plays rook d1 immediately, and after queen a5 he should go a3 and return to the lines, but let's say he doesn't. Let's say he plays something like bishop e2, then after d takes, bishop takes, knight b4, queen somewhere, queen b1, and now knight b d5, the point is revealed. So black has utilized the b4 square to jump to d5, and he's probably more than fine here. So yeah, a3 is aimed in taking the b4 square under control. Now queen a5, removing the queen, and here there is a lot of possibilities. In particular, long castling has been played by many players. Kasparov was particularly fond of this move, and he scored some great victories, starting with bishop e7, h4 against Vaganyan in '95. But obviously there is a lot of theory here. I think that in the recent times this is not the most dangerous move, and actually white is risking a bit, but okay. On our level everything is possible, so if I were ever to play this variation, probably I would have gone long castling without fear, because it's not like it's immediately refuted. Okay, but rook d1, it's more in Carlsen also style, more positional without some wild attacks. And here there are several possibilities. Bishop e7 once again is possible. Rook e8 was played in a Karpov-Korchnoi match, and then there is this line starting with knight d2, e5, and bishop g5, and now knight d4. So obviously there are a lot of possibilities, but the move chosen by Caruana was very, very rare, and I think it is a novelty on the 2600 plus level. He played rook d8. It turns out that b4 is not a threat, of course, because if white plays b4, black will simply take, and with the knight e4 coming, he will lose this knight, and with it the game. So he doesn't need to move the bishop immediately. But yeah, rook d8 is it kind of bolsters the d5 pawn and also puts the rook in the opposition to the white rook. And here Carlsen had a choice. He played bishop e2, which is kind of safer option. He could have played knight d2, which is like more principled way of reacting, because now e5 is not such an option, because e5 bishop g5 things just doesn't work. But after d takes c4, well, bishop takes c4 is a possibility with some advantage, but also knight c4, rook d1, queen d8, queen takes, knight takes. Okay, this is symmetry, there are no queens, no rooks, but you know, with this bishop on c8, which is always a problem piece, perhaps white can, a skilled endgame player such as Magnus might have some advantage. But okay, Caruana was playing very fast here, he was playing instantly all his moves, and Carlsen probably decided it is safer, he goes for bishop e2. But here after e4, taking the opportunity to shatter the pawns, castling, knight takes c3, b takes c3, white's pawn structure is ugly, and well, he will also need to be precise later in the game. And here Caruana played h6, generally just the same waiting move that prepares knight e7 and removes the pawn out of the potential attack of the bishop on this diagonal and takes the g5 under control. He can't really take the a3 pawn, of course, because if he takes with the queen, then rook a1 just wins the queen. And if he takes with the bishop, then after, say, rook a1, white has very simple idea of playing e4 and then moving the bishop to c1. So let's say d takes c4, e4, and immediately bishop c1 will win this bishop on a3. I mean, okay, you don't, any experienced chess player wouldn't really take on a3. It's just unnecessary, very, very dangerous, especially with all these pieces developed by white. So h6 was played, and now a4, removing the pawn from attack. And now black played knight e7, just very good move, bolstering d5 pawn, the d5 square, and yeah, just a nice maneuver to get the knight to an active position. And here white played a move that Carlsen admitted was based on miscalculation. He played knight e5. There was some argument to make to c takes d5, knight takes d5, and now bishop e5, trying to get the bishop to the d4 square. Although there are some complications, beginning with bishop d7, c4, bishop takes a4, queen a2, knight b4, and queen a1. This is kind of complicated, and yeah, it's hard to evaluate this. So okay, but knight e5 seems very decent, but Carlsen said he missed the simple bishop d6 here, which, you know, challenges the knight immediately and also looks at the bishop behind the knight. So Magnus took on d5, knight takes d5, the point of knight e7 is revealed, and here everybody got excited about the move knight takes f7. And actually Grishchuk said in his live stream that only Mamedyarov would play something like this, and this looks rather silly. What's all this about? But after knight takes, bishop takes, rook takes, white has a choice. If he plays e4 immediately, it runs into queen takes c3, and after queen takes c3, knight takes c3, he can't really take on d6 because knight e2 check wins the piece and wins the game with it. So white has to go bishop h5 check, removing the bishop with tempo. Then after king g8, e4, we have the same, but now after knight f4, rook takes d6, queen takes h5, it is not clear what is the evaluation, and Magnus actually admitted that he couldn't make knight f7 work. Of course, he saw that move. So he went for knight for bishop f3, but here he needs to be slightly careful because now also his kingside pawns are going to get ruined. So knight takes f4, e takes f4, bishop takes e5, rook takes d8. This is very precise because if he took on e5, then after say bishop d7, bishop takes b7 and rook a b8, well, white is in some danger. All these weak pawns, 3-pawn islands, there are some problems. So yeah, good decision by Magnus to take on d8 first, queen takes, and f takes e5, queen c7, and now rook b1. A very good decision. White's pawns are weak, and he aims for activity first. Rook b8 was played by Caruana. You might wonder why doesn't just black take the pawn on e5, but after say queen d3, queen c7, rook d1, well, and with the inevitable queen d8 coming, it will be very very difficult for black to defend this position because he will never be able to unpin on the 7th rank. Let's say something like g6, queen takes, rook takes, king g7. You know, there is this pin that is, you know, just probably deadly or very unpleasant to say the least. Okay, so obviously Caruana wasn't falling for that, and he played rook b8, and here queen d3 by Magnus was played, bishop d7 trying to get to c6, a5, very good decision. This is a measure against b6 in the future. Obviously these pawns are immune because the bishop is attacked by the queen, so black can't take these pawns. And here Caruana played bishop c6. Carlsen was actually spending quite some time here because he was probably trying to make sure he doesn't lose. He was trying to find a way to draw in the safest fashion, and here he played queen d6. Probably he considered the endgame after bishop takes c6, b takes c6, rook takes b8, queen takes b8. It's slightly unpleasant because okay, all these pawns are once again very weak, and I don't know, it is probably drawn, but it might have been unnecessary. And I think his choice was much more practical, and it was based on very good calculation. He played queen d6, queen takes d6, e takes d6, bishop takes f3, g takes f3. And yeah, okay, white's pawn structure is very ugly. It's like 4 islands, and this d6 pawn is advanced but weak. But Carlsen demonstrates it's actually very safe for him, although it's very instructive to see how he does it, because all of us have lost games, and not only in Blitz, in which we had like something advanced in d6 and then it just dropped. So let's see how Magnus did it. Caruana played king f8, c4, going to c5, king e8, and now a6, a very good decision. C5, king d7 is perhaps not that clear, although, you know, it's hard to believe black can win this, but you know, why complicate things and, you know, prolong the game when a6 is just like very direct draw. After b6, c5, king d7. Of course, black can't go b5 because c6 then just loses. So king d7, c takes b6, a takes b6, a7, rook a8, rook b6, rook a7, and this is the endgame we have reached practically by force, and it's drawn endgame. So these double pawns on a5 are actually quite useful because black can push the pawn to f3 or something without mass exchanges, and actually white king will be very safe on g2. So after king g2, e5, Magnus even decided to give up the d6 pawn, which is going to drop all the same. Rook b4, f5, rook b6, king e6, d7, king d7. Magnus just says, okay, I don't care about the pawn. There's no way you can beat me here. So rook b5, king e6, rook b6 check, king f7, rook b5, king f6, rook b6, king g5, rook b5, king f4, rook b4 check, e4, f takes e4, f takes e4, h3, rook a5, king b, rook b7, sorry, rook g5 check, king f1, rook g6, rook b4, rook g5, rook b7, rook g6, rook b4. So yeah, basically nothing happened, and here the players agreed to a draw. which is a bit surprising when you consider that Magnus tortured Caruana much more yesterday, or that was 2 days ago, so in the previous game. But yeah, objectively speaking, there is no reason to play on, because yeah, everybody concluded this endgame is a draw, despite the extra pawn for black. So yeah, after 2 games, I guess both black players should be satisfied, because both times the black player playing the black pieces drew or equalized rather easily. But okay, Caruana might have some slight psychological advantage because he didn't miss any serious chances. But okay, it will be interesting to see what will happen tomorrow. I'm curious whether will we see another Sicilian, whether Caruana will change his first move, or whether Carlsen will switch to 1e5. In sincerity, I don't believe he has a reason, because his Sicilian worked excellently, but then again, it is now an obvious target for Caruana's camp. Okay guys, so thank you for watching the video. You can watch the previous videos, I will link them in after this video is over, and of course don't watch the video of the game yesterday, because it was not very good, to be completely honest. We missed several fine points in the rook endgame, but I was doing it a bit in a rush, so every excuse is good, I guess. Okay, thank you for watching. If you like what we are doing, say hello to us on our blog, on our social networks, and yeah, see you some other time. See you when game 3 unfolds. Goodbye.